Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all my wonderful and beautiful little subscribers out there. And how I love you all, so, and I hope that you're all super duper well, super duper wonderful, and super duper delicious. And that life is treating you most deliciously wherever you are in the world. So, 3, 2, 1, my juice little lights. Thank you, little lights. You're delicious and bright. Yeah, I've got to remember that most of them are flipping gone, haven't they, my delicious little babies? Do you know what I mean? Right. Okay. Now then, my delicious little babies, I apologise about if you can hear her in the background. There was scaffolding put up on, somebody's to do one of their properties, and well, I suppose they're back working. I mean, they just left it there, did a bit of work a few days ago, my delicious little babies, and flipping trotted off again. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, now they're back again drilling. Now then, my delicious little babies. Now then, so the time is, what's the time, Mr. Wolf? So it's 2:15 in our old England, my delicious little babies. And let me tell you what I did. So I took a phone call this morning, my old dog and burn, my delicious little babies. Sorry, before I go any further, can I please say, I hope that wherever you are in the world, whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening, you're having a beautiful, super duper, and delicious time, my little beautifuls. Okay? Anyway, get back to what I was just saying. So I took a phone call, didn't I? And I just made a flipping bang. There we are, absolutely banging flipping curry, And then forgot to put it back on the flipping cooker. Okay. Went to wash my frying pan out. Okay, my delicious little babies. And accidentally put a squirt, a fairy, pomegranate and grapefruit washing up liquid. You're not going to believe it, my delicious babies, in my flipping curry. I've never ever done that in the whole of my life, my delicious babies. Never in my life have I ever done anything like that. I just lost my concentration for a second, just put it in the wrong pan, my delicious babies, you know what I mean? Anyway, so now I've had to tip it all down the toilet. Mind you, it helps the sewage rats, bless them all. And there's a lot of underground in London, isn't there, my delicious little babies? Going underground, underground. You know what I mean, my delicious little babies? Anyway, so then I had to wash my flipping large saucepan out again, my delicious little babies, and then I've got to start it all again. But I'm only left with one tin of flipping mutty tomatoes, my delicious little babies. I've got some Aldi's ones, but it's the mutty ones, okay, because they're richer. Of course, they say that they're from Italy, don't they, my delicious little babies? But then I did a video a long time ago, didn't I? From China. Anyway, my delicious little babies, I shall say no more about that. Now then, my delicious little babies. So, right, this is quite, it's not bizarre, actually. There's nothing bizarre about any of this, okay? So I have had 4 videos, and to be perfectly honest, my delicious little babies, I've got to do my weeding out the front. So I had every good intention. I thought my curry's made, everything's done. I can then get outside, my delicious little babies out the front. Okay, my back is all done. It's all sorted out. Bless. Somebody so very kindly, beautiful dear little family. Her dear husband came and helped me with my back garden, my delicious little baby. So my front garden. Anyway, but I said I'll do the weeding because, he'd done everything else, bless him, okay? And what a fabulous job. But I said I was going to do the weeding anyway. So it was a fantastic surprise, when I heard the strimmer going. Do you know what I mean, my delicious little babies? Yesterday morning, anyway, let me just fast forward. So the point is, I still haven't managed to get, there we are, out into my front garden, okay? Because once I've done my video to you all, my delicious little babies, and like I said, I wasn't even going to do a video today, okay? Because I've got so many, there we are, other things to do. But then I'm going to make another curry the second time around, make another curry, my delicious little babies. And then this time, it will not have any squirty flipping fairy liquid in it, my delicious little babies. Oh, really, you know, I was really flipping cheesed off about it. Do you know what I mean? I was really looking forward to that curry as well. Anyway, not to worry. I just started from scratch, okay? But what happened was, and this is what caught my attention, every single one of these videos that I'm going to advertise today, my delicious babies, all came up on my feed. Now, it may be to do with, because of a video that I mentioned a couple of days ago, which was 14-year-old. So maybe, you know, old YouTube is putting other videos up, my delicious little babies, you know what I mean? For us to, it's only a figure of speech, my delicious little babies, you know, for us to get our teeth into, you know what I mean? That's a figure of speech, my delicious little babies, not in literal terms. So I start with the first one. Okay, my delicious little babies. Now, this was uploaded 17 years ago, my delicious little babies, okay? This uploader happens to have 1.91 thousand subscribers, my delicious little babies, okay? And when I looked at it, there's only, how many videos, if I've got the right one? 30 videos in a 17-year, my delicious little babies. In the old space bar, should anybody happen to have any form of an interest, it is over 6 minutes long, my delicious little babies. Okay, so these are not long videos, okay, my delicious little babies. And it is called Zooey Girl. So, okay, I'll spell it out for you. It's a capital Z, my delicious little babies. Then a double O, okay, my delicious little babies, as in zoo. EY and girl, GRRL. So it's 2 words together, Zooey Girl. Okay, my delicious little babies. And the video should read, learned helplessness. Okay, my delicious little babies. So I repeat that again, learned helplessness. It's interesting to read a few of the comments, and I never read many more because I was too busy looking at these so I can get my video out to you, my delicious little babies, so I can bang it out, okay? So that's that. Now, in one part, what the teacher does is she gives them 3 words. I think one side she gives 3 words, and then others she gives other words. Okay, my delicious little babies. And so with the one side, they could make another word out of the words that they had. Okay, my delicious little babies. But for the others, they couldn't do it. There's no possible way they could make a word. My delicious little babies. Anyway, an interesting little video. I've never seen this uploader. Anyway, these are all going to be one-offs, my delicious little babies. But I've never seen any of these uploaders before, my delicious little babies. This is new to myself, anyway. So that's the first one. Now, the second one, my delicious little babies, this was uploaded 5 years ago, and this upload happens to have 5.84 thousand subscribers, my delicious little babies, okay? And in the old space bar in older YouTube, my delicious little babies, capital N, Natalie, space, capital S, Sims. Okay, my delicious little babies. So that's the uploader, Natalie Sims. And with anybody not in that way, not in that way. This video should read, freedom to chains. I'm in chains. Okay, my delicious little babies, Paul Harvey. Okay, my delicious little babies. Very positive comments here, my delicious babies. I mean, on all of the videos, I mean, you know, I'm not saying to anybody, oh, just look at every single comment. No. But it's very interesting to see what some of the feedback is on videos. I mean, I do appreciate that not everybody has time to look at comments. I'm well aware of that. But it's really, it's really interesting, especially like these older ones as well, my delicious little babies, okay? So that's that video. Now, the next one, my delicious little babies, is, this uploader happens to have 1.52 million subscribers, my delicious little babies, okay? This was 3 years ago. This was uploaded, my delicious little babies, and the uploader is called Real. So it's 2 words together, my delicious little babies. Real, I'll spell it out for you. Capital REEL, then lowercase BLACK, Real Black, then space capital 1, Real Black 1. Okay, my delicious little babies. This video is just over 6 minutes as well, my delicious little babies. And sorry, Freedom to Chains is just over 9 minutes. Okay, my delicious little babies. This one should read, Dropping Knowledge. The Radical Barber, 1966, Ernie Chambers. Okay, my delicious little baby. So I'm just going to repeat that again for you, shall I? Dropping Knowledge, The Radical Barber, 1966, Ernie Chambers. I'm not sure why the wording radical. Because we hear a lot of the word radical, don't we? With certain religion, my delicious little baby, shall we say, my delicious little babies, okay? So anyway, the point is, this is just over 6 minutes long. This barber, so for it to come up on my video, for all of these, my delicious little babies, YouTube, there we are, is obviously doing this, there we are, for a reason, okay? I am not, and I have to repeat this, saying this to create any form of anything. But what I am going to say to you is that this dear barber now, there we are, he had a point. But I do not feel, listening to it, my delicious little babies, okay, that he was talking about everybody, my delicious little babies, okay. He was talking about, there we are, certain, there we are, my delicious little babies, okay. So that is the way, there we are, it came across to myself, there we are, okay. It would be so easy for somebody, put it this way, to take a listen to the video and it's just a figure of speech, face value, and say, right, yes, he means everybody. There we are. It'd be so easy to do that, but I do not feel that he meant this at all. However, there was, there we are, a lot of truth. There we are, my delicious little babies, okay? So, and we're going back all those years ago, decades ago, my delicious little babies, okay? Now, I could have said to myself, do not advertise it. But then I said to myself, no, this is how somebody felt. Do you see what I mean? Okay, they had those feelings, and it's interesting to read some of the comments on there as well, my delicious little babies, you know what I mean? I've never heard of any of these uploaders. These are all just one-offs, my delicious little babies, but if ones can just listen to another side of how they feel. So I do not feel that there should be any need, let's just say, for it to get, in any situation, overly heated, in any situation in the world, my delicious little babies, over something, okay? But the way that I see it is, okay, it's not, let's just say, sometimes not everybody wants to talk about, certain, videos or subjects, or, but to be quite honest with you, everything that your man there said, there we are, there was truth. But like I said, I'll repeat it again. I do not believe for one moment that he meant all. Okay? Because I do not believe that he did. Okay, my delicious little babies, okay? But it's the same as, does anybody ever remember that old-fashioned saying? It's decades old. Ask me no questions. There we are. I'll give you no lies. There we are. My delicious little babies. So if somebody's asking somebody else a question, unless they want to hide the truth for whatever reason, whoever anybody may be, my delicious little babies, okay? Then if they do not want to be truthful, they're not going to be truthful. But if somebody's asking a question and they specifically walk into a shop, there we are. Well, ask me no questions. I'll give you no lies. Do you see what I mean? That's decades old, that saying, my delicious little babies, okay? So that's what I'm saying. But like I said, this dear Ernie Chambers, there we are. He said it, there we are, as he saw it. And it was very interesting. The part, well, it was all interesting, but in a very short video, my delicious little baby. So I'm not saying it for any other reason. It's just it was very interesting for all of these to come up on my feed today, my delicious little babies, okay? But it was also very interesting when he mentioned, there we are, religion. That was very, there we are, interesting indeed. My delicious little babies also. Okay. So that's that video. But bless that dear man. There we are, because he was only telling the truth. And as we say in our terms, you know, our own dear, there we are, giddy God, love the truth, isn't it, with him? But like I said, I'm not saying this for any other reason. Now, finally, my delicious little babies, this upload happens to have 152,000 subscribers, my delicious little babies. This was 2 months ago, my delicious little babies on YouTube. Now, it's a capital W in the old space bar, should anybody happen to have any form of an interest. You know, in any of the videos, they're all on YouTube. Capital W, way. So it's 2 words together. Way back. So it's way, then a capital B, back. Like I said, the words are together. Space, archives. Okay, my delicious little babies. So that's what this upload is called. Way back, space, archives on YouTube, my delicious little babies. But like I say, it's 2 months ago. This video should read 1977 news special. Homosexual husbands, undercover marriages, my delicious little baby. So I'm just going to repeat that again for you, then I'm going to close my book because we need to go back to where we need to go back to. 1977 news special, homosexual husbands, undercover marriages. Okay, my delicious little babies. Now then, why am I mentioning this? Because if we go back in time, my delicious little babies, I remember, I'm going back, oh gosh, years and years ago now, my delicious little babies, on the old box in the corner of the room. And I remember there was an elderly man, and he was being interviewed, you know, by like one of these journalists. I think it was on ITV, I think it was. And he'd lost his dear wife. Okay, they'd been married all their lives, and he was 95. I'm sure he was 95. And what struck me, because I thought to myself, so I've never seen like anything like this ever before, my delicious little babies, okay? And this is all to do with that this old man, bless him, elderly man, was living, well, basically, a lie. And even, you know, after losing his dear wife, he, I'm pretty sure they said to him, would you want to be with anybody? And he said no. But even though he knew he was gay, he never once took any steps towards, going out, I don't know, say a pub or something, whatever, a club or something. He never once did that. Okay, my delicious little babies. I think even the journalist, I do believe the journalist, sorry, was rather shocked at that. But he said he remained faithful to his wife, even though he knew that we are deep in his heart that he was gay. Okay, my delicious little babies. And that just came back into my nodder, but all of this has all come up on my feed. My delicious little babies, I have not been seeking it. It's came up, so it's like I said, YouTube just puts, do you know what I mean? It seems to myself, my delicious little babies. Anyway, let me, proceed with what I'm saying, and then I'm going to be over and out. So, what this is talking about, different couples, it's just over 12 minutes long, my delicious little babies, cat. And the first couple, well, basically, he got married knowing that he was gay. Okay, my delicious little baby, is it him who said that he feels like he's had a deception done on him as well? I don't know if it was him or the other one, the following one. Well, I suppose it's open to question, when we look at, let's just say, different ingredients, there we are, which go into water and things like this now, then there we are, my delicious little babies, you know what I mean? Anyway, that came into my noddle. Anyway, let me just fast forward. So, the journalist asked him, so you feel you're homosexual? He said yes. So what he's saying is, if he wasn't with his wife, his wife, okay, my delicious little babies, he said he would never fancy another woman again. Okay, my delicious little babies. Now, they still had a rumble in the jungle, a swing off the old chandeliers, my delicious little babies, okay? The part I didn't get here, I mean, she's still in love with him, so that's why they stayed together, but it's very telling when you look at the expressions on the bird races and everything, their faces, my delicious little babies. But if he's like proper homosexual, this is the part I don't get. I just simply do not get it. Well, you wouldn't want to have a rumble in the jungle, or swing from the chandeliers, or perk the old fire, as they say, my delicious little babies, with a woman, would you? I don't know, so do you know what I'm saying to you, my delicious little babies, okay? See, if you are having a rumble in the jungle with a woman and you're having a rumble in the jungle with a man, well, that makes you surely bisexual. I would have thought, my delicious little babies anyway. But they remained married. Anyway, my delicious little babies is another marriage, I think, that never went too well. My delicious little babies, okay? And, oh, sorry, excuse me. And then there was another woman. I think they set up like a meeting, with other women, you know what I mean, and all this now. And towards the end of this little video, they were then going to be talking about lesbian women with straight husbands, my delicious little babies. But right at the very end, it said, but there's not a lot of those. Okay, my delicious little babies. Now, you're probably wondering, why have I mentioned this? Me personally, I just live and let live. As long as it's not affecting my life, or, do you know what I mean? I just live the way I do, and as long as they're not doing anything, do you understand what I mean, that they should not be doing? Okay, my delicious little babies. But if that's the way someone to live, then that's the way someone to live, isn't it, my delicious little babies? You know what I mean? Sometimes you just cannot change what somebody is, can you, my delicious little babies? You know what I mean? But like I said, as long as they're not doing, you know what I mean, my delicious little babies, can. So what I'm talking about is two adults, is what I'm talking about. So if they're two adults and that's what they do, and they do not do anything else, okay, that's what I'm talking about, my delicious babies, okay? But my part in it all is that really, if you look at it, and we go back to that elderly man who was 95, I mean, how long, there we are, has this been going on for, my delicious babies? There we are. If we really look at it, I mean, it does make, there we are, one wonder, doesn't it, my delicious babies? That's all that I'm saying. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, so that's the end of my video. So that's all I wanted to say, really. But it's amazing how it affects different couples' lives. You know, some can, let's just say, come through the other side, and others very sadly cannot. But I know if it was myself, I would want somebody, there we are, to be straight up, there we are, and honest with myself. You know, do not just get married because you feel that that's the right thing to do, which if we look back, you know, going back to that elderly man, he probably felt really inside, in his heart, pressure to marry a woman. Do you see what I mean, my delicious little babies? I'm just looking at this from different, there we are, angles, that's all. So that's all I want to say. I'm not going to say anything else, my delicious little babies. I can feel a sneeze coming. So wherever you are in the world, sorry about that, my delicious little babies. Thank you so very much for any views, for any likes, and, you know, I don't receive any comments. I'm not worried about that anyway, my delicious little babies. I'll tell you what I could do with, though, some more unsubscribing. Okay, my delicious little babies, that's, there we are, what I could really do with, because I've got to get it to a number, okay, but I'm not going to say what number that is. Okay, my delicious little babies, okay. But of course, you know, for most, if they lose a subscriber, they're, do you know what I mean? For myself, it's hip hip hooray! We're getting somewhere. You know what I mean? My delicious little babies, yes, okay. So, yeah, but seriously, so wherever you are in the world, whether it's morning, afternoon, or evening, please have a super duper delicious time. You're on again. One love, my little honey bunnies, sending peace, love, harmony, and bright blessings to each and every one of you. And may your beautiful little selves and your beautiful little families, may you all be fully protected. And how I love you so. And thank you so very much for listening. But yes, they're all very different videos. But it's a different take on different years and everything, isn't it, my delicious little babies? I feel that's the point that I'm making. You know, if you go through the decades, partly, do you know what I mean, my delicious little babies? Anyway, so very much love. How I love you also. Take care. Thank you. Goodbye.